Good morning, people. Welcome back to Ashmore Arboretum. And today I want to talk to you about pruning your onions. Now, I don't know if a whole lot of people do this. It's something that my dad told me to do years ago, and this is something I've just kind of been doing ever since. When my onions get to, you know, about 16 or so inches tall, I like to prune them back to about 8 inches. And the reason I do this is it tricks the onion into continuing to grow. Because when the onions leaves lay over, it's time to harvest. So that's how you know that your onion's ready to harvest, is when the leaves all lay over and you can pull it up then and get it cleaned off. We like to season our onions a little bit by letting them sit in the sun for a few days, and then that just kind of hardens them off. But I want to show you what I'm talking about here with pruning your. Right here, you can see these onions are all kind of unruly. Down there, you see where I've pruned the tops of these onions off to about 8 inches tall. And I'm going to show you how I do that right now. It's a pretty simple process, nothing too fancy. But, Avery, you want to hold my bucket? Okay.
I sat for a high school.
It was. Alright, you're just going to grab a hold of the tops of your onions. You're just going to snip it off. Now these tops, I like to put back into our compost bin, so I save all of them. Now this is a little bit of a tedious process. It takes some time, especially when you're doing the number of onions that I like to do every year. But it's worth it in the end, because you end up with an onion that's larger. I like having the large, big onions. I have two different varieties of onions here. I've got Walla Walla and I got Stuttgarter. And each one of these leaves is another round on your onion. Is another layer on your onion. So by forcing these things to continue to grow, your onions will end up getting thicker and thicker.
You gave me a whole lot.
And I gave you a whole lot, didn't I?
Yeah.
So this is a pretty simple process. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on super speed, and you guys can watch how I finish this out. Okay, now as you can see, these are all trimmed up. These are all pruned up. These onions will continue to grow until I decide to harvest them. Now I will probably prune these up 2, maybe 3 more times this growing season before I finally harvest these onions. Like I said, by trimming the tops of these onions off, you're going to end up with a larger product at the end. And this is something that I would prefer, because I do plan on storing a bunch of these onions for overwinter use. I also have about 100 more onions. I have 100 onions in here right now, and I have about 100 more onions I'm going to stick in here when these are all harvested, and I'm going to overwinter them as well. And they will go dormant in winter, and they'll come back early spring, and they'll continue to grow. About the time that it's time to plant my onions for the regular growing season, the spring growing season, those overwinter onions will just about be ready to harvest. And that's what I'm looking for. I want to have a continuous rotation of produce if I can. So I hope this helped a few of you guys. This is not a hard project. It just takes a little bit of time, especially if you have a lot of onions like I do. It just takes a little bit of time, and it cleans it up real nice and neat, which I'm not too worried about it being neat. I'm more worried about production. So until next time, thanks for watching.